poets, what is the landscape? The landscape is the mind. You're in the mind of a poet, and I don't think Brian's work is any different, except that the city is very much a part of that mind. He is a poet. I'm not saying just, but it's a poet of the city. And so there are these images, even the title of one of Brian's books, Jungle Nights and Soda Fountain Rags. This is a poem for Duke Ellington. So there's a lot of imagery that is city-born, so to speak. And also the experience, it sounds a little bit remote, of being black. That comes into these poems. And it brings us into another world that many of us only read about. So it's really, first of all, it's really good to have Brian here. He was in Washington. He's from Washington. He taught here, but he's at Michigan State in the law school there. But fortunately, was back here for this week, and it all worked out. So, welcome, Brian Gilmore.
And good to be here. I am from Washington, D.C., and I eventually, though, I got fed up with the city's lack of democracy. And I can't remember which one it was. It was something that the Republican-controlled Congress invalidated. It might have been needles. I just don't remember. And I said, I got to get out of here. And so me and my wife, we moved to Takoma Park. And I still actually have a house here. So I consider myself still a resident of the DMV, as they say now, which is really odd to me. For those of you all hear that, hey, I'm from the DMV. I usually just say I'm from DC. So I'm going to read poetry from my new book, We Didn't Know Any Gangsters, on Cherry Castle Publishing, and it's been a very great surprise for me. I was surprised to get selected. And then also, this response to the book has been great. They got nominated for NAACP Image Award in the literary category, and Beltway Quarterly, local publication, also made it a notable book last year. So it's been a great response, and I brought some copies with me if anybody wants to see me bare my soul, really bare my soul. I appreciate the introduction again, and also Linda and Jill with fabulous poetry there. And I'll just dive right into a few of these poems. Billy Bathgate, that's the lead poem for Chico. All I've got is this picture. It could have been Vanderzee, Gordon Parks, Augie Ogburn, fresh from a Chancellor Williams shoot. We are capable boys, innocent, up some small mountain in summertime from that swamp of a city. We couldn't juggle balls, didn't know any gangsters. All we had was ice-cold Michelob and red juicy melon, holy like water. We didn't know about rattlesnakes that I've now been told are all over that mountain. All I've got is this picture. I could call up the crew, though some of them are gone away now like wisps of smoke. Others are here just floating on skyline like kite without string. We were capable boys, looking into the future as we would live like Frederick Douglass or C.L.R. James. Did I mention the Michelob, red juicy melon, holy like water? And how about those rattlesnakes all around us now that we know they are there? All I've got is this picture. Unbreakable smiles, lean frames, polo shirts gripping young boys soon to be walking tightrope without poles. It's there, all of it. Ice-cold Michelob, melon holy like water, rattlesnakes. We couldn't juggle balls, didn't know any gangsters. We were capable boys. All I've got is this picture. Nosferatu. Of course, I know you know who that is. The kid in the colorful long-sleeve silk shirt, the 70s, summer heat, making love to streets, worshiping asphalt, stay out later and later, vampire, throwing rocks at street lights, alley lights, just needed to be night, for love of streets, Just adore the streets and malt liquor, that wonderful elixir. A mother hears a streetlight explode. She knows her boy was wearing a colorful silk shirt when he left. It's summer. People wearing long-sleeve silk shirts in summer don't think rationally. Remember the music, the crazy ridiculous that could have done us like the dinosaurs. John Travolta doing the foxtrot, looking like he's dropped acid. Bell-bottoms, stack heels, afros sprayed with something toxic. But really, it isn't the shirts, it's malt liquor, that wonderful elixir. She calls out her son's name, he's gone. Like Kaiser Soze losing his limp. Really, he's Bela Lugosi and has become a bat. Flown and jumped in someone's car, ready to worship streets, asphalt. He looks insane. Short shorts, long tube socks up to his knees, and his shirt, long sleeve silkness. Goes nowhere without it. His music, disco inferno, boogie nights. He laughs when it is played. Another streetlight will be gone soon, and later, when the city cools off like hot apple pie, when the men drop their rods in the water on the river and pop open ice-cold bottles of Miller High Life, the kid in the colorful long-sleeve silk shirt will stop by someone's house. They will pop bottles too and offer a toast to malt liquor, that wonderful elixir. There are a number of poems in the book about my father and parents and just things like that. And this one is called A Soldier Story. My father served in the Korean War conflict, but he didn't do the combat thing because he scored high enough on the test. And because he scored high on the test, he got stationed with processing. He was moved into the processing thing. Of course, it has a profound impact upon your life. So this is called A Soldier Story, told in my father's voice. I will not die in Korea. My children will be born. Thousands of colored men dead like ants who have crawled too far for crumbs. Harry Truman given hell. Executive Order 9981. This is what could have been. What wasn't shall never worry. I meet the man on his grisly turf. Never meet the rising sun. So many colored men dying like middle passengers dragged here by ship. NAACP loud like locusts. Coast Guardsman Haley scratches the word. Charles Wrangle, Harlem hero. Hell-given Harry wants to rule the world. I come down to the city of government, learn to type, get a good government job, GS1 or 2, something to talk over with gin and lime. I meet a graduate of Paul Dunbar High, pretty lady who spins some tales, writes like the queen, doesn't fret about how it be. She walks behind Charles Drew, good God of blood. Jessie Fawcett, well-mannered with word. Her shorthand is a poem. Civil service exam, freedom train. Days full of rooms and men. She dances dark streets where she is told to stay. Her mother out pounding the pave, buying bread, bringing the South up north for respect. Thousands write letters and dollars for more. No more hot sun, cow milk days. Fields of rice, corn cake break. World bank like crop share crooks, trapped in bricks, but give glory to God. I didn't die in Korea. I was lucky. My children born. I was courteous to the pretty Dunbar woman. I came to the city, got a good government job. Fell in love with shorthand. Talked about it humbly over gin and lime. But most of all, I learned how to type. This is called Make It Plain, and it's based on a story my mother told me about about applying for a job and finding out that my father's father was basically a communist when he was in Baltimore. That's where my father was from. And so they ends up putting a lot of people in your family through the rigmarole, so to speak. But this is based on a story my mother told me, and my mother's kind of an oblivious kind of person. She's just like whatever kind of person, if you know what that word means, whatever. And she speaks her mind on things. But this is called "Make It Plain" for my mother, and the epigram is from Edward R. Murrow. Good night and good luck. My mother laughing at government men. My father has taken a new job with folders and documents. They're telling my mother she married Karl Marx or Engels. This is the source of her chuckling. My father, Vladimir Lenin. My father, author of the Communist Manifesto. My mother must have typed it, disseminated copies to workers of the world. Today, she would have emailed it as an attachment. But this is 1955, comrade, and my father's whole family is trying to laugh about it too. They are Paul Robeson, Du Bois, Langston Hughes, and Dashiell Hammett, insisting upon handcuffs rather than a microphone. Is your father Karl Marx? They ask all of them. How do you spell proletariat? What brand of cigarettes did Lenin smoke? You mean he smoked? I hear he quit cold turkey before he died. And Karl Marx, well, comrade, didn't he play for the Brooklyn Dodgers or something? This is not funny. Stop laughing. We know all about your father, a union man, Baltimore, Maryland, tried to organize a few things, get people to band together in the workplace like bees in a hive. He reads the People's Daily World. Your father's a bowler, right? Formed a team, and some of you were members. And at the bowling alleys, you didn't keep score. You just said, nice shot, comrade. My father's sisters and brothers no longer laugh. Two of my aunts almost lost their jobs because they could bowl. My father got interrogated for days because he knew how to pick up a spare. And my uncle, a clever man on the lanes, spent his 2-year stint in the Army and a Kansas mess hall, being spied upon like he was KGB. They gave my father the documents, the records, the job. He died with those secrets. My father always liked to bowl, kicked his leg out like Earl Anthony on ABC Wild World of Sports Saturday afternoons. My mother liked to bowl too. She had a purple ball and ate the cheap French fries with all that magnificent Heinz ketchup dripping slow. She could not stop chuckling at the government men that day. Lenin, unions, October revolutions. And Karl Marx, my mother says, I am sure he never played baseball. All right. I'll just read a couple more. I heard, I think it was Jill earlier said she was one of 3 girls. And I have a sister who's older, the oldest, but I'm one of 3 boys. And lo and behold, when I had started a family, I ended up with 3 girls. That's how it works, right? My mother said it was payback. So I wrote a poem for each of them, and I'm going to read these poems here. And they're called The Godfather, the trio. It's a trilogy. And so The Godfather, and then it's Godfather 2 and Godfather 3, and the first one is The Godfather for Adanya, 18 months. That scene from The Godfather, which I've watched over and over. The dawn has passed, chasing his grandson through the vegetable garden. The traitor has been revealed at the funeral. Sad-eyed Abe Vigoda asked Tom Hayden to get him out for old time's sakes, because it was just business. Can't do it, Sally, is all that is said. Though Abe is almost saved because of his face, that wonderfully precious, charitable face, which could make a father cry. Because like Tom, I too am a lawyer. And this is what I see each night, looking into my daughter's 18-month-old eyes. Abe Vigoda, sad-eyed, looking to be saved from the Sandman. Now she is working on me and giving it her best shot with those despondent but hopeful Abe Pagoda eyes. My daughter has to sleep in her crib for trying to cut a secret deal with one of the other 5 New York families. She wants me to get her out for old time's sake. She knows I am not strong and loyal like lawyer Tom Hayden. I look into her eyes and replay that scene again. I see Abe being led away to sleep with the fishes. Francis Ford Coppola is lucky he didn't cast my 18-month-old for his film. Who would have believed that an infant black girl would one day run the mob? That's crazy. The Godfather 2 for Lyrit Guy, my middle child, at 2. Marlon Brando is dead. My daughter will only dream of him. She and I shall go to the waterfront and see that he does not sleep with the fishes. But he's gone nonetheless, like those kids from New Jersey Drive joyriding, like cicadas on the wrong windshield. Marlon Brando is dead. My daughter will never know him. Only Don Corleone can speak to her now, a silly man who talks as if he's trying to sound like Miles Davis. She and I shall watch his movie over and over, just as I did in college, law school, and any time I wanted to feel as if I were loved. Marlon Brando is dead. Michael did not come to save him. He and Enzo got lost on their way to the hospital, and the Don is gone. My daughter will never meet him or have a chance to love a Sicilian. Here is a man who loves his daughter, I could have told her. Here is a man who would save the world. Marlon Brando is alive. He was saved by us all. Years from now, I will invite him to my daughter's wedding so he can watch us dance before the world. He will have the greatest time eating our food, listening to our music. People will come visit me in the parlor, and he will watch them ask me for favors. I will point to him and tell them that there is the man they need to speak to, a man who will make you offers you cannot refuse, a man who will come to see you late one evening and ask you if you love your children. The Godfather 3 for Panonica at 6. My father only owned 2 albums by Monk, Crisscross, and the one where Monk is sitting on a little red wagon. Years later, I sat next to a Jewish guy in law school. We talked Monk before and after class, Ellington and Charlie Parker, but mostly Monk on the little red wagon. It is as if we were alive then, as if we knew how it felt to be born in the 50s. On the CD issue of Monk's Cross, there is a song named after a moth. Monk would later say it was a butterfly. But who's arguing? It is still like hot sauce on your eggs or shrimp mixed with grits in the morning. Somehow, this moth came flying into a hospital one Easter morning. It was tiny and acted as if the wind would blow it to dust. But the moth could fly better than the best Boeings in bluest sky of morning. Nurses wanted to give the moth a name, but names can wait. Names are for Ellis Island, 1914. And she is not a horse who has been through desert. She is not the High Plains drifter. She is not a character in a Ralph Ellison novel. She is not a bar in the movie Shaft. She sits on a red wagon. She waits on Chick Corea. She is in love with Charlie Parker. She is adored by Sonny Rollins. She is a movie that had to be made. She is not rebellious. She does not smoke cigarettes. She flies through her days better than Boeings in bluest sky of morning. And I will end with a short poem, which is one of my favorites, because when our parents would go out on the weekends when they they would go out. They would leave my oldest brother, Keith, in charge of me and my brother, Mike. And the only thing we had was ourselves. Not like now, where it's like kids get on a phone or a device or something like that. So this is called There Was a Time for James Brown. And this is our Friday night. Friday night, my parents' phonograph, a nightclub, my brother the DJ, a Blue Label 45, Waxy Maxy via Cincinnati, Ohio. Brought to you by Blind Sid Nathan, chomping on a cigar, looking like he needs a ventilator. A black boy not named Richard, the golfer's city, he's no caddy. He dances for coins, electromagnetic storefront street hustling shaman. Guitars played with forks, better than Basie's horns, flames famous, funky, the jerk, mashed potatoes. Maybe this is a West Indian concoction. We know who we are. Give us nothing. We've got the feeling. We say it loud. Our parents have given us fries, Big Macs, fruit punch, chocolate and vanilla ice cream. But the song is the meal. The old lever is set so that it plays the sounds forever. It will be full of cracks and pops in the morning. At some point, we will stop dancing for coins. Everyone's pockets will be empty then. In the meantime, relax and watch us work. Thank you.